All right, political science. This is chapter 7, the media. So, short chapter. We'll get through this pretty quickly. So, the media and democracy. Free press is a sign of democracy. You should have an informed public, a public that knows what they're voting for when they go out and vote for something. So, a free press is important for that. And this is according to Madison. The press plays an educative role. The only business to have protection within the First Amendment. If you look at, there's 5 rights that are ingrained in the First Amendment: free expression, and freedom of the press is the only one that's related to business. You gotta have a free press so that they can educate the population on what is going on and what is important. They also play a watchdog role, so they'll check the power of government. If the government is out of line, they will watch out for you. So it's a little watchdog, a little yapper dog that just keeps barking. That's what the press will do, is they'll check government power if government is getting out of line. And the last role, socialization role. In chapter 8, we'll talk about political socialization. Get where you learn politics from. Media is probably the most important thing that you learn politics from, is the media. So they socialize you into politics and what's going on and what is important. Partisan press, the press being identified with a particular point of view. So they may think a certain way and look at news in from that objective. So Fox News is considered Republican. MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, they're considered Democrat. So they view it from the lens of the party or ideology. So you get non-reporting of the news, but editorializing. So really, they don't report the news anymore. They may say what the story is, and then they'll give you their opinion. So when we're editorializing, they're giving their opinion. Libel laws. Libel, written words that falsely damages a person's reputation. You cannot have, it's not protected speech. You cannot just damage somebody's reputation and then say it's my right to free speech. That's not allowed. Slander is spoken words. So libel is written, slander is spoken. So you need to, if you were to write something up and you attack somebody and it's false, then you can be sued for libel. If you speak something that damages a person's reputation, you can be sued for slander, and they're not protected speech. The Alien Sedition Act did something like this. People were libeling the president in 1796. John Adams was being libeled, so they passed the Alien Sedition Act and arrested all of these people that were libeling, but they were pardoned by Thomas Jefferson. We don't need to go in depth into that. Commercial journalism, the news becomes secondary to profits. These are companies. These news outlets are companies, so their main job is to make profit. So if they can come out with the first story, even though it's true or false, they'll come out with it just so that they can make a profit. But there's also parent companies to these media giants. ABC is owned by Disney. NBC is owned by Comcast, I think. So they will write stories or do stories that are good for those corporations, to make those corporations more money. Yellow journalism, scandal mongering. A lot of people like scandals. If you go into a grocery store and you see the tabloids and they come out with salacious and false stories, well, that's yellow journalism. They're just out there trying to make profit, then create scandal. The story may be true or false when we look at scandal mongering. The goal is to be first, and it does not matter if it's true or false. We need to get the story out first. If you think back to when Kobe Bryant died, everybody thought it was just a hoax, yellow journalism, but it came out to be true. But who was it that came out with it? TMZ comes out with it, and everybody thinks it's false because it's TMZ. They're scandal mongering. They're yellow journalists. So, but it turns out to be true. But it's not. They really don't verify. They just go out with the story. Muckraking journalism. Journalists who dig around the muck to expose corruption. So they go into the muck to find corruption. Not a lot of muckraking journalism now. It's a lot just of opinion-based journalism. So they look for muck inside government or society as a whole. So the media today, the influence of the internet. The internet has a great influence on the media today. So with the emergence of the internet, just like I do in class, where do you get most of your information from? You get it from the internet. A lot of people aren't even doing traditional media, TV or radio. They're going more on the internet. That's where we're getting most of our information. And if you don't believe me, where do you get most of your sources for your papers that you write? Is weakened traditional news media control. Not everybody is watching the news. The news, major media companies are down because most people are on the internet, getting their information from the internet instead of going to watch news. So you get unfiltered presentation of facts. You get everything that you want to find on the internet. And sometimes it's not covered up. They'll show every brutal, honest thing. Domination news production, this is back before the emergence of the internet. There are only a few organizations. So AP put out 95% of the news. The AP is the Associated Press. If you're an Associated Press writer, you'll write up the story, and then all these other companies will come in. But most of the news that was put out was by AP, and then disseminated by the 6 major networks on TV: ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, PBS, and CNN. And those networks would then, in the day, you get these stories come out from AP on written press, and then the 6 major networks would put out those stories at night on TV. So the media and politics, entertainment, everything you watch, there's a political agenda behind it. Think of anything that you watch. I even put it down to cartoons. If you watch the Smurfs, that taught you how to be good communists. So Smurfs teach you how to be good communists. People like to watch football because it's violent. People want to watch horror movies because people get killed. But there's also political agendas behind the movie. So The Day After Tomorrow looks at global warming. Star Wars, you could talk about, was against Bush in 2000. So if you think of any movie, there should be a political agenda behind that movie. Reporting the news. So what does the news media give you? Do they give you all the good stories at first, or do they give you all the bad stories? They tend to go with the bad stories because we as a society want bad. We like the bad stories before anything else. Identifying public problems. The media will identify public problems and then report on it over and over and over again to put it into society's consciousness, to make people think about that issue. They'll set the public agenda. Because they keep reporting on those things, then that becomes what people talk about all the time. So especially right now, the election's happening, that people are always talking about the election. They socialize new generations. They bring more people into politics through the media. Again, that's why there's an agenda behind most everything you watch, a political agenda. It provides a political forum where people can air their differences and try to work out their differences. So the media will allow one person from the left or one person from the right to argue and try to convince people of their side. Television, everyone has a TV in their house. Almost everybody I know has a TV. Even people have 2 TVs. Not a lot of people just have one. TV is criticized for superficiality. Why do people want to get onto TV shows? Because they want their 15 minutes of fame. And why do people watch American Idol or these reality shows? Because you want to see the people that are worse off than you. You want to see the train wrecks. The most popular part of American Idol is the bad singers, because you get to see people like me just be weird. TV relies heavily on images. When we get those bad stories from the media, they give us all the bad images so that it keeps us watching, because we want to keep watching. I always put it to what happens when you see an accident on a freeway. You slow down to see what's going on. You really just don't drive through. So you rely on those images. TV constructs a storyline to get you hooked, and then have you keep coming back. So there's a cliffhanger on a movie or a TV show, and now you have to come back the next season to see what happens. So they construct that storyline to keep you hooked. And then the sound bites are important, especially in commercials. I really hated Subway when they had the $5 footlong jingle. That sound bite just got stuck in my head, and then I always sung it, and then I thought about Subway. and influences the way politics is conducted. It makes media can make politicians look good or bad in any way. So the media has a lot of control over that. And the primacy of the internet. Again, back to the internet. The internet has overtaken TV as a primary source of information. Again, when we had face-to-face classes, as soon as class was over, what did everybody do? Get out their phones and see what's going on. See what they heard on social media, or if somebody updated a status. So the internet has become way more prevalent in our lives today. Almost everybody I know has access to the internet. Everybody I know has a smartphone, so you have access to the internet with that phone. And it's more readily available with smartphones today, because you all have smartphones, I'm sure. Even TV is starting to be broadcast over the internet. Everybody's cutting their cable bills and just going to straight watching TV on the internet. Netflix, streaming services, everybody's going streaming. So that's the influence that the internet has become way more important than just regular TV or cable TV. All right, that's it for chapter 7. Thank you guys. We'll see you for the next chapter. Bye.